First of all, 8 by 8, when we are talking about unified communications in one platform, we did exactly that. So we have put all the features and functionalities that we can provide within the same application, and more importantly, to different levels of access. When I talk about levels of access, mean first of all that we can access it from anywhere. All you will need is a internet connection, regardless of whether that connection is private or public, 4G, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, whatever it might be. On the second level, we are also providing exactly the same functionality within exactly the same interface, with exactly the same phone numbers and extensions to your mobile application. So you will have exactly the same functionalities within your mobile device. And then the third level of access, as Will mentioned earlier, was or is a handset or plastic on the desks. Now, each one of these levels of access, you can either use just one of them, you can use all three of them, or whichever combination of those that you might want. Even the most basic licenses from 8 by 8 will cover all three levels of access.
Okay, so you're talking about having your office phone with you wherever you are, which is great. You take the number, so that's great. People can ring me, but if I was working in a department where I used to be transferring calls, I was in a hunt group where I might be one of 10 or 20 people that somebody would ring, and use a real live example that my phone rang and somebody wanted to speak to my colleague Mike. Do I have the same ability to transfer, but in the office I can just look over and see that he's on the phone and he can't take the call, or I can shout over and I'm just transferring a call? How does that work in a remote environment?
Well, it works really well, actually, and we have in 8 by 8, and we are a company of somewhat 2,000 people, and the standard PBX functionalities are still available as part of the service. So you will have your ability to dial the number from the dial pad, but where you are on the phone call, you will still have your standard functionalities for transferring calls, putting people on hold, changing the ring groups that you are in, logging into call queues, and so on and so forth.
So we can take that functionality away from the office and just have it for home workers. That's great. And what about functionality like call recording and voicemails and everything else? How does that work?
So voicemails are available as part of the standard product. So all of the voicemails are in the on the left hand side. So we have visual voicemails. We have call recording capabilities as well. Now at the moment my voicemail list is empty. However, all of the voicemails that you would receive would show on the left hand side. You will be able to play them. You will be able to transcribe them as well, and send them to email, whether you want to send them in an audio file or send them in a text form from the transcription. From the call recording perspective, we enable call recording all of our products, so including the contact center and unified communications. And you have multiple options around that. So we will store all of your call recordings as standard. You have the ability to take those call recordings and push them over to your own storage, or have a call recording enabled, disabled, or partially enabled in terms of either a percentage of calls being recorded for the contact center purposes, or a start and stop manually within unified communications part.
Do you have the ability to see real time what people are in? Are they busy? Are they on the phone?
Absolutely. So your presence is fully transparent to all of your users, and you can see on my screen now that I have a do not disturb on because I'm in this meeting and I don't want people to call me. but I can manually change that or have it automatically set up when I'm available to be in green and when I'm on the call to be on busy. Now we do have abilities to change this, to override this manually or automatically. And then we have also the ability to integrate that with the calendar. And I'll talk about that in a brief minute. So one thing before that, I just wanted to address the caller ID change. So you can also change your caller IDs based on per call basis. So all of the numbers that your company owns, the user can have a dynamic CLI or caller ID and change those numbers to what they're going to present when they call.
So that's great. I mean, you scratched the surface of what's available from the phone functionality, but essentially what you've shown us is that 8x8 offer a fully functional phone system which you can take anywhere you want to. So that's really powerful.
Correct.
So the next thing that the next challenge that I spoke about a little earlier was how do I actually just ask people questions who are in my team, who are in another department, without really interrupting them, without picking the phone. Everybody's inbox is far too full of emails. I failed to turn mine off before we started this webinar, and I must have had 15, 20 emails coming just while we've been chatting. So how do we stop the noise of email, and how do we communicate with people?
Well, IM is a big product that's being used, or big technology that's being used, despite the fact that it existed for so many years. In the last few years, really, people started using these, especially as they started working from home and flexibly and remotely. We have a instant messenger platform that's divided into two pieces. For some of you who used Microsoft Teams or a similar product, it's a very similar technology to that.
So that's functionality that people will probably be using from different applications. But I think the benefit that you've highlighted there is it's sat in the same platform, but you can easily turn that into a voice call very quickly and a video call.
Absolutely.
On the same platform, it's within your team. So yeah.
Absolutely. So if I'm chatting to Scott, if I'm on the phone to Scott, I will still have the ability to escalate that voice call into video, chat into voice. Everything's really interlocked. Everything's one platform. Everything's one SLA, the most importantly, and one vendor to support you behind.
Okay, so that's great. So you're bringing your voice and your messaging platform into one sat there. So that's excellent. And you've touched slightly on face-to-face meetings there, and I think we've all been exploring different ways to have those video meetings over in our work and personal lives at the moment. So one of the big things that people are doing is family quizzes and stuff, and there's different platforms that get used for that where you can actually stay in touch with people. But it's just as important as staying in touch with your family as it's staying in touch with your colleagues and being able to see them on a regular basis. So the video meeting functionality within 8x8 is powerful. Can you just show everybody watching what's included?
Yeah, so actually we're using video meetings now, so you can see multiple videos of me and the screen sharing capabilities. We are using the video meetings now, and we have a fully WebRTC enabled platform, which basically means that you don't actually have to download any of the applications, any of the plugins or extensions in order to run a successful meeting. So technically, what that means to a customer, but basically if I set up a meeting, it sends you the link. If you click the link, you can join straight from the browser without any troubles, any download. In addition to that, the additional features that we introduced within these meetings, if you take a look at the meetings platform, here we will have the ability to raise our hands, record all the calls, enable your screen sharing. You can start sharing videos. You can start group chatting within the meeting, and you can also stream it to YouTube, much like we are doing now with your webinar. So all of these are available on 8x8.vc, free of charge. So you can actually go to open your browsers, enter 8x8vc or 8x8.vc, and you will find all the information about how to get the virtual meetings, and you can download it for free or start meetings straight from the browser. So all of the meetings within 8x8 are non-moderated meetings. So everyone is the equal participant on the meetings. The screen sharing can be done from each one of the users. Everyone can share the screen at the same time, and the other participants can pick and choose which screen they're going to see or they're going to view at that particular time.
Just before we jumped into the demo, the ability to have a look and see what team members are doing, and just being able to keep a track of where people are. There's lots of reasons why that's important. When people logged on, looking from a duty of care perspective as well is important. But also, there may be individuals have KPIs or performance stats which are relevant to their particular job role. By moving them out of the offices, that's still available to be tracked and monitored. Everything's in the cloud, so I'm assuming that's the case.
Absolutely. So all of our statistics, everything we know about the call, we give back to the customer in order to be able to report on it or see what's going on within the company. Now, with the COVID-19 basically being forcing us to work from home, a lot of the contact center, a lot of the customer service industry has been working remotely. So you obviously want to stay on top of your workforce and understanding what your SLAs are, how productive your agents are, how productive your sales and customer service are. All of the analytics that we provide are viewable from the browser, and they allow you to see anything from the KPI perspective, call quality perspective, locations around the globe from devices, whether they are online or not. Go ahead.
I can say that's great. So if you're managing teams and you want to look at performance and trends around business, you can see how that's performing, and that would be the same. You get the same stats based if someone sat in the office, as you say, on a plastic phone, or if somebody's working from home on a soft phone, etc. So
that's exactly it. Yes. So if you take a look at this report that I'm running now, I'm running the outbound reports for top 10 extensions in the company for the year 2019. And by hovering over Sav, I can see that he is the top performer with 16,000 calls. But if I click on Sav, I can view that trend across the months. For each one of the months, I can view it by week. For each one of the weeks, I can view it by day. And for each day, I can view it by 15-minute increments. So I can tell you that on the 3rd of July 2019, Sav made 10 outbound calls, received 2 inbound, and made 3 internal calls. So it's very comprehensive. It's very easy to get to, and visually quite well made in order to show you exactly the criteria that you want to see in the form that you want to see it.
Okay, so there's loads of information if you're looking to manage activity and make sure that you can see what's happening within your organisation. If you're seeing a spike in inbound calls, if your team are having to make more outbound calls, etc. So that's great. But one of the challenges that people throw back to internet, IP-based phone systems is the call quality is never as good, etc. Are you able to report on call quality and then potentially provide IT teams or service providers with information to say this is where the fault is, we need to fix things to improve performance?
Absolutely. So the 8x8, as I said, we're very transparent. We're a software house, and we are driven by the requirements from our customers in order to get the best possible service. applied. So when we talk about connectivity, we can provide the best service in the world, but we ultimately go over the last mile connectivity to the client, so you will be able to see the call. You will always be dependent on that connectivity.
Yeah, so if you're managing a team and you've got some home workers and one person's having particularly poor call quality, you can look at their calls, you can understand which ones are working, which ones aren't, who they're having problems with, and the IT team can get that fixed for them, whether that be they need a better internet connection for where they're working from, or the device that they're working from isn't performing particularly well.
Exactly.
Or calling people who have got a poor connection at their end.
That's exactly what we are talking about, and that's exactly where the benefit of having those analytics straight in front of you is great. I've worked within technical support before, and someone calls you up and says, "Hey, I had a poor call." And what you would usually have to do is get the 3 examples of the calls. Who did you call? Check the carriers, check the SIP traces, check all of that, send it to network operations. Here you have everything in one place, and even the supervisors without the administration access can access this and see the call quality overall.
There's been a couple of questions that have come in which have been forwarded across to me, so I'd like to get those covered off before we wrap up, if that's okay. So one of the questions is around security and secure by design. There was a slide that you spoke about earlier around mentioning some of the accreditations that 8x8 hold from a security perspective, but there's been quite a lot in the press around other video platforms not being secure and other people joining meetings. Can you just give us a bit of a summary about 8x8 and are they secure?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we take security very, very seriously. We are one of our first businesses started as residential telephony. As a residential telephony provider, we were always pushed to have higher security standards when it comes to data sovereignty and data protection. From there, we grew into a company enterprise level. Solutions that we are providing have to be the top of the range security certified. So we deliver those through, as I mentioned earlier, the mixture of private and public cloud. We partner with top tier data centers in order to protect the equipment, in order to protect the data. And now when as we are moving towards public cloud more and more, we are selectively choosing partners that are providing us the environments and the conditions in order to stay true to our certifications and still continue to provide those services, as I said, to legal aid, Department of Defense, Department or Ministry of Justice in the UK, and many financial companies. We have some of the clients that you've seen on the slide that are from the financial industry and require the highest security standard.
Excellent, thank you. It's good, and security is important for people, and having credibility behind the platform is massively important. And the other thing is when we spoke about unified, and that was about bringing all these parts of a solution into one platform is great. But we have to be mindful that these aren't the only applications that people use on a daily basis. And you showed, I think it was your G Suite calendar being synced up with the presence information. So that's one application, but there's lots of other applications that people use. There's many organizations out there already in Office 365 for their email. It's probably the biggest platform out there and driving a lot of Microsoft growth. The biggest software as a service application out there is Salesforce.com, and there'll be hundreds of thousands of organizations in the UK that use that platform. having the ability to integrate with those applications and many others is really important to making the word unified true. How does 8x8 support that?
Yeah, and if you think about the unified communications and the contact center as standalone applications, they would be fairly useless if they haven't been integrated into some sort of a workflow from the client side. That workflow may include business applications such as CRMs. It may include even email clients like Outlook, G Suite, calendar invites, calendar integrations, and so on. 8x8 is very flexible when it comes to integrations. We have a full open API stack that allows us, and a platform underneath it, which is called Maestro from the 8x8 side, and that allows us to create a same level of integration for many CRMs. We have 20 odd integrations, with native integrations with CRMs. So Zendesk, Salesforce, you mentioned, NetSuite, Microsoft Dynamics, Zoho, Sugar CRM, HubSpot, Bullhorn, and so on. So you can really go naming the integrations, but essentially all of the 8x8 products are created for the.
Okay.
And I will share my screen just now for the final slide. Bear with me.
Cool. And I was going to say there around click to dial functionality. Does that exist from those applications?
Yes. So essentially, all of the integrations assume click to dial and assume screen pop. So all of the integrations will allow you for your agents to be able to click on the number and make that phone call without actually dialing the number, or even whether that be physical phone, mobile phone, or soft phone. But they will also have, for the inbound calls, the ability to see the information about the customer before they even answer the phone call.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Nick. So yeah, that's all the questions that we've had come in today, and we've slightly overrun on the time slot as well. So hopefully everybody watching has found this as interesting as we hope you have. And if you'd like more information around 8x8 and how that could fit into your home working strategy, please get in touch with me directly. My details are on the screen now, and I'll arrange for one of my team to get involved. Speak to you about what your requirements are, and then we can set up demos for people. And as Nick said early on in the call, if people want to take advantage of the free online meeting platform, if you go to 8x8x8.vc, you can just start your free meeting without any sign up at all. So you can benefit from this technology with no investment. So I'd like to thank everybody who's attended, and hopefully speak to you all soon.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks for inviting me.
Bye-bye.